Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel DeLong, and on this podcast, I'm going to talk a bunch about grit and grace. And you're listening to Hank Jr. on Hank's Corner.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Hank's Corner. You know who I am. I'm Hank Jr., part of Hank Jr. Productions, where I'm documenting life's moments through photography, videography, and, of course, podcasting. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in, no matter how you do it, through YouTube, Spotify, or down the road radio. Appreciate you, continue to be my fan base and enjoying the podcast. And, I always say that I'm so happy about my next guest. And usually I am for one reason or another. But this particular guest, so I've done over 150 podcast episodes now, as you guys know. And, I've had some on here that are Christian based. Some that will play some Christian music or write some songs, but I've never actually had a Christian fledged artist on the show, so I am definitely happy about that. Please welcome to the show Rachel DeLong. Rachel, welcome to the Hank's Corner.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited that you reached out.
Yeah, and I'm glad. Like I said, I mean, I've had people on here that that they'll talk about their Christianity. I even had Aaron Tanner, who out there in Nashville, who plays like honky tonk music with a Christian message, which kind of
Mhm.
combines. But I've never had specifically anybody that's what they branded themselves as a Christian artist. So I'm definitely happy to have you, and I'm looking forward to talking about some of the stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, it was very natural for me to get into like specifically Christian music. We can talk more about that later, but like it just kind of happened. Like it was more so like a process how I went about songwriting. It kind of put me into this, and I was not upset about being labeled a Christian artist. I'm proud of that label.
Well, that's awesome to hear. And yeah, we're definitely going to hear about how you got into it and, the challenges or the benefits that you may face as a Christian artist. But one of the things I always like to know right up front, because, I am in the Tampa Bay area. That's where my little corner kind of hides in. But where are you actually calling in from?
I'm calling in from Waco, Texas.
Oh, okay. So my home state. So,
Oh, really?
yes. And, I'm actually spent more time in the Corpus Christi
Mhm.
area, a little bit of time in the Valley, and then, of course, some time in the Metroplex. But yeah, home state. And, I may be in Florida now, but, Texas still runs through my veins.
Oh, yeah.
And but you're originally from the Northeast, so tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that, because that's a different ball game than Texas for sure.
Oh, it definitely is. That's one of like the most fulfilling things about like moving across the country. Since I grew up same house, same town, small little like farm town in New Hampshire. And then when I was going pursuing my degree, I ended up pursuing it at a college in Texas, and that's what I'm currently doing here. And just like it made it made a lot of stereotypes about Christianity make more sense to me now that I saw both sides, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Because but it also made like a lot of other things more clear to me because like when I was going to church and seeing sermons on Sunday, they were even saying things in a very different way. It was just kind of thought about differently when it was more of like it was accepted in the society like in here in Texas like Christianity is so accepted, whereas in New Hampshire I knew of one other Christian, which I mean in my high school I knew of one other
Hmm.
Christian in my high school.
Yeah,
um
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and that definitely is a cultural thing that I haven't really talked too much about on Hank's Corner before. I mean, we've talked about different things Christian related, but being different locations clear across the country, yeah, that is definitely a culture change that I noticed. And here in Florida, it's kind of a melting pot. So we see a little bit of everything, but Texas
Hmm.
definitely kind of still part of that Bible Belt, so to speak. And of course, you got a lot of different denominations that are in Texas, but in general, if you ask somebody, they will tell you whether it's true or not that they are
Yeah.
Christians, and they're not necessarily ashamed to do so. But
Mhm.
other than that, I'm sure you got to be liking the weather out there because
Oh,
I'm
I
going to be
love
headed
it.
up to New York shortly after I record this podcast, and I know while I'm up there for a couple of weeks, it's supposed to get a huge cold front up there. So I don't miss the cold too much. I mean, I do enjoy it, but I don't know if I'm looking forward to it this time.
I think overall there's a lot of pros and cons to both like living in New England versus Texas. Like the cold, I love the cold, but also
Uh,
during the winter when you get feet and feet of snow, sometimes difficult to get to school or you would have to shovel it all the time. And I love the warmth here, but then during the summer it gets like 120. So like there's
Yes, that
pros and
area of
cons.
Texas is definitely really, really, strange because it does get pretty cold just being up in the north, but because it's not, that close to the ocean, it definitely gets, although it's getting humid, you don't get that Gulf breeze that comes along like I did in Corpus Christi. So I remember
Mm.
those 4 years that I spent in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, and it was pretty warm. But of course, we could talk about the weather all day, and that's maybe because I'm a little bit older, but I'm definitely here to bring you here to talk about your music. And for those who follow me know that every Friday I put out a new Music Friday post, and you were recently on it not too long ago for your song Royalty. Tell us a little bit about that song.
Yeah, so I wrote Royalty because as I'm 20, like as a young Christian girl, it it's something that's come up in my life a lot that I've struggled with is identity, especially with so many things being thrown at you with social media or with just like growing up and like saying that you're a Christian and so many people like saying things about that or having presumptions about that or like attacking you because of your beliefs. I definitely like I had to figure out my worth, my identity. I had to figure that out. And something that I wanted to like just kind of showcase through that song is like, hey, we're not just like a daughter. We are royalty. Like we are heirs of Christ, co-heirs with God. I mean, sorry, co-heirs with Jesus. Like that's like Romans 18 something. Um, it's just like there is just such confidence that you can find in that, and it's found in something that is stable. It's found in something that like we can hold true on, and that's why I wanted to write royalty because it kind of talks a little bit in like passing about my testimony in the first verse kind of, and then like how it says like if you want to know me, let me tell you a story. Like I've been isolated, I've been beaten down like quite verbally and physically, and like I've been challenged, I've gone through just tough stuff in my life, but that doesn't change who I am and who I know my father makes me.
Yeah, and
And
that's
so
really
that's where it
interesting.
came from.
Yeah, and a lot of people know that the majority of the people, like I said, even though they may be Christians or they're professing Christians, that they fall under the Christian, I mean the country pop atmosphere, and country is known for a lot of storytelling. Obviously,
Mhm.
there's a lot of fun songs and stuff like that, but it's a lot of the storytelling is what really makes country what it is. It pulls at the heartstrings, and that's one thing that the Christian music does have too, is that it gives that opportunity to tell a story, in this case, like you said, partly about your testimony. And I've noticed that Christian music from the time that I was little, is sometimes even overlaps with that country because of that. I mean, you had the country and
Mhm.
gospel, and even big names like Elvis was and Johnny Cash were doing gospel music and that sort of thing. And I think a lot of it has to do with that storytelling element. And we're going to get a little bit further into your specific story, but let's go ahead and play royalty first here on Hank's Corner.
Oh, it's awesome.
If you wanna know me, let me tell you a story. I've been empty, isolated, broken, beat down and lonely. But you better believe that track is not on repeat. Rewriting chapters word by word, redeeming all for his glory. So I know I can say I need salvation. I'm not ashamed, and all that I'm saying is that I know who This might come off too strong, but I know I'm not wrong. In my weakness, it's his confidence that I'm standing on. 'Cause no matter what the world may try and throw out my way, I got the Alpha and Omega giving me all my strength. I need salvation, I'm not ashamed, and all that I'm saying is that I know who I am. 'Cause he's the Prince of Peace, the undefeated King. So that makes me royalty, and I know who I am. Roll me in with the lions, my God's got me, he's fighting. Throw me in with the lions, my God's got me, he's fighting. Throw me in with the lions, my God's got me, he's fighting. You can throw me in with the lions, my God's got me, he's fighting. I need salvation, I'm not ashamed, and all that I'm saying is that I know who I am. 'Cause he's the Prince of Peace, the undefeated King. That makes me royalty, and I know who I am. I need salvation, I'm not ashamed, and all that I'm saying is that I know who I am. 'Cause he's the Prince of Peace, the undefeated King. That makes me royalty, and I know who I am.
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. That was Royalty, and man, that is such a very exciting, fast-paced song. I really like how you did that, and the music arrangement and everything. It's definitely something that I don't mind turning the radio up loud to listen to that. That's one of those type of songs. And so, like we mentioned, Royalty is your recent song, but it is part of your testimony. And for those that don't really understand, sometimes these words, testimony is basically your story. And here at Hank, Junior Productions, I do my tagline and I say, well, look, I'm documenting life's moments, and whether it's through photography, videography, or podcasting, this is just kind of a way to record these moments. And, you have a story to tell and we want to hear it. But before we do that, I always like to play a little game called Two Truths and a Lie. And what we do here, I mean, if you haven't played the game before, is you're going to give me three statements, and two of them have to be true. One of them has to be false. And could be in any order, and by the end of the podcast, I'm going to have to try to guess which are the two truths and which is the lie. So if you want to play, I love to hear your three statements.
Okay. I'll try and make them not music related, because
All
we're
right.
talking about music, since then you get to know more of the fuller picture.
Let's
Okay.
do it.
Okay. I'm a total nerd about Marvel Comics. I have an 110 currently in my neuroscience class. And and my favorite place to tour is California.
All right. So I need to figure out if you are a total nerd when it comes to Marvel comics, and I'm glad you said Marvel, if it is true, because our family tends to follow Marvel a little bit more than DC. That you currently have 110 in your neuroscience class, which I'm kind of thinking possibly, because I do picture you as somebody that's very intelligent. So we'll have to see if that's true. Or your favorite place to tour is California, and I know California definitely has a lot of scenic spots out there. So I don't know. That could be one too as well. And I will try to tailor the question so that we won't give them away right, blatantly
Okay,
here in
okay.
the podcast. But I will have to try to guess that later. So like I said, this is about you, this second section here. And I want to go from the time that, you were, I think, about in fourth grade when you started writing your first song, that sort of thing, or even go back before that. Like, tell me the beginnings of what inspired you. It doesn't even necessarily have to be the Christian music part, but what inspired you to get into music, and how did that transcend to get to where you are today?
I would have to say my family. Um, so I always remember we would go to visit my grandma and my grandpa on my mom's side, and he had this room which I called the guitar room because like floor to ceiling there were like hung up electrics or acoustics or basses or stuff like that. And my uncles and my grandfather would just like kind of jam and play. And
Mm,
I grew up in a very like nerdy family, like Ivy League engineer type. That those are my brothers and my father. And so it was always such like a stark contrast and like kind of like a mix whenever everybody would come together on the holidays and we would play music. And it I just started loving singing from that, I'd say. And and then I just like it just continued to grow from the really embarrassing videos of me singing Let It Go at like my third grade talent show, which are probably online somewhere. Thank you, Mom. Um, to to like even stuff that I do now. It's like that's kind of where my roots were. And like I'm touring, doing music, and I think in middle school I started talking to my grandfather about it, and he was touring through middle school and high school and college in a band, and it was just kind of cool to see that parallel. It's kind of in my
yeah.
blood.
And I try to do a lot of research. I'm not going to lie. A lot of times I become an instant fan to the music, and sometimes it's a little bit harder to get to know the person. Some people have a lot of on social media and something, but I'm always trying to research, and I have not found those videos. So maybe I got to dig a little harder and see if I can find them, or maybe bribe your mother or something to get those videos. And I don't know that I would necessarily put them out, but at least to see them. I'm always
there
about trying to see.
there are trust me, there are even worse ones than that. There is at one time my first competition I ever won was me singing Start a Fire by Unspoken because I learned how to play the guitar to learn how to play Unspoken's music.
Mm,
um and there's a video of me singing when I could barely play the guitar, and I was entering a competition, and there's just a row of like fedoras lining the walls that are all mine. There's also a video of me singing Best Day of My Life while trying to play the tambourine when I was 10 and in a band. So there's plenty of dirt you can find.
well, I just have to dig a little harder sometimes, and that's the way it goes. So you kind of throwing some names out there. So are these the artists that influenced you, or were there particular artists that you haven't mentioned that influenced you, to become a musician, or was there something that just inspired you aside from the family? What were you listening to?
Ooh, so I was listening to very eclectic music growing up. I really loved it whenever my dad was playing Casting Crowns. As I started to listen to music by myself in like middle school, I loved listening to like Austin French, Unspoken, Lauren Daigle. When my first time going busking in Boston, I was playing like Come Alive or like Trust in You by Lauren Daigle on the streets, which was fun. But my I also have two older brothers, and they quite influence my music taste. And like I have the brother that listens to like Five Finger Death Punch, and then the
Mm,
brother that listens to Shawn Mendes. So
okay.
like growing up, it was just always a very eclectic like amount of music surrounding me.
Yeah. And that's one of the things when we were talking about culture stuff earlier. I mean, I don't really know too much about the New England, atmosphere. I know a couple of artists that I interviewed over there, and it's not to me, and could be wrong, but growing up in Texas, the way obviously Texas is just huge to begin with, but the way it's kind of set
Mhm.
up is that Texas has a wide scene. I mean, it's not all just country. I mean, you got everything, from the country and Christian to your hip hop, your rap, and your rock. It is just so vast. And I remember, growing up in high school, and I had a thing for everything. I could appreciate music in all genres. And I remember, the country people saying, well, why are you listening to R&B? And R&B people, why are you listening to gospel? And I used to get made fun of so much. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm on your side. I'm on everybody's side. And I don't know if that's really still the same now, but having all those influences does make you who you are. And going back to the early writings, like I said, I think it was like in fourth grade, you may have said before
Mhm.
that your first thing. Do you remember your first song that you wrote? And is it something
Yes.
that you tell people about? Because some people don't want to share it.
Okay. So keep in mind, I was in like fourth grade. Um, I was always like wanting to like go, 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 like very wanting to meet everybody, wanting to like work on stuff. Like that was kind of my personality and very social. And so my first finished song that I ever wrote, since I had a bunch of starts, I had a little notebook that I never let anybody touch. It was just my songs and thoughts and feelings. But it was a song called I'm Ready. And it just said the words like I'm ready, like 10 times in a row. And then it's like, I feel like doing something. Like, God bring me back to you. It was like something like that. And it was just like I still have the notebook. I still remember the tune, but like I don't know, it was just like it felt so good to finally finish my own song, and I wanted to go around and show my parents like I'm a singer.
Yeah. And that is, kind of symbolic. I would say that, you were ready to start that journey and into the music thing. So, what a great title, what a great song to start off with, saying that you're ready, and it's great to see how far you've come. And, if I've checked all the people that you've gotten to, open for, some big names and everything. So you came a long way from that, that first song to where you are today. I want to play
Yeah.
Clarity right now. And when we come back, if you don't mind, I want to hear a little bit about your testimony.
Yeah.
Sometimes my head gets a little too loud. Sometimes my voice gets a little too proud. Oh, maybe that's too honest. Should have been more cautious. Maybe there's a bigger picture in this process. Sometimes my head gets a little too loud. I need some clarity, a moment of your peace. I need the way that you love me. I know you're listening, the heaven rush on in. I need the way that you love me.
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. here with my special guest, Rachel DeLong, and you just heard Clarity. And that was also actually one of the things that I included on my New Music Friday post. And I remember actually that was the first song that I came across you, I believe, when that came about. And like I said, I became an instant fan to the music, and always glad to share that out there. So be sure that you guys are checking that out on Facebook on the Hank Jr. production page. But Rachel, tell us a little bit about your testimony. We kind of been, throwing it out there, but we're ready to hear it.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many things in my life that just remind me of like the fact that I need God. And like I've grown up in a Christian family, and like but you're at some point your faith actually needs to become your own. Like it needs to be something that you believe rather than just you're told growing up. And when I was around 14, I was assaulted by a friend at the time. And that kind of brought up a lot of why God questions for me. It really made me grow up fast. Like pretty soon it brought in the world for me. And it was just like I couldn't keep going without getting an answer to that question for me. And I found the answer for myself. I found the answer to why God, like, why did that happen? And that's that He does use it for good. Because the more that I would be open about it, even in small groups, or even if I was brave enough to talk about it at a show at the time, I would just see people come up and talk to me and say, "Hey, that happened to me, and I don't know how to talk about it." Or I don't know how to get help. I don't know how to talk to my parents about it, or I don't know how to find therapy, or like I just this happened a long time ago and it's still hurting, and I'm mad at God for it, and I can get to talk to them and say like, "Hey, this is what God showed me through that time. This is where He brought me back. This is where the scripture that I held on to, like my last end of the rope kind of moment, like this is what kept me going." And that's like it's tough, but I've just seen God use it time and time again to help others and help me like reach others and bring people closer to Him. It's just been that kind of was the thing that turned my faith from one that was just like young into one that was like, okay, like I have to believe this. This is the truth that I am living on.
Yeah. And, I've said this many times on my podcast that when I talk to the music artists, almost every single one that I talk to is a songwriter in themselves. And I would say, it's a good kind of jealous, but I'm jealous of you because you have that opportunity to be able to put things to pen and paper and to
Mm.
music and everything. And a lot of us, we can't do that. And so that's why we come to people like you and say, wow, that was great, but on on this particular instance, it's like a whole other level because it's not just
Yeah.
okay, I can relate to you, I know the song, it made me feel better. What you're doing is you're taking that as your platform, and not just saying, okay, well, look what I did, this is a song that I wrote, I can feel for you, but pointing them to Jesus, which just takes it to a whole other level. And how does
Yeah.
that make you feel? Because I'm sure that this has happened when you point them to Jesus and somebody says, you know what, that's the path that I want to take. I want to follow Jesus.
It makes me feel like I'm seeing like my own testimony right in front of me. It's like that brings me such joy in that moment. Not saying that it's for my gain. It's not. It's just that knowing the peace that God can give them. It might not be an immediate fix, but knowing that if they're choosing to say, "Hey, God, like like I'm letting myself go, but like into your arms," kind of thing. Like I know that that's a safe place for them. Whereas sometimes, like when somebody experiences something that's as hard as what I had experienced or some of these other people have talked to me, it's easy to go into places that aren't healthy or places that will just hurt them more. And hearing that, like, hey, actually, I'm going to try this God thing, you know? Like, I'm like, okay, that is such a beautiful start because I know that is a healthy answer. And more than that, that is like the most fulfilling answer. And that's the way that will actually bring them to a full sense of peace.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just like two scoops of ice cream, really, because like I said, I've heard it where artists say, well, it's great when people appreciate my music and I make them feel better and whatnot, but then to have that extra scoop, and really it's really a cherry on top, including to say, hey, look, I'm possibly bringing this person to salvation. So I want to say, from the bottom of my heart, Rachel, thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for writing the stuff. Thank you for talking about it. Definitely appreciate it. Keep doing the Lord's work. We like that. We're going to go ahead and play a ransom here. And when we come back, we're going to have to try to guess the two truths and a lie.
I was so guilty, and you had no fault. And I was so doubtful till you came along. I struggle with who I was, feeling no worth. I put you first, and I read your words. Here's what I heard. He paid my ransom. He took my place, picked up my broken heart and filled it with amazing grace. He took my failures and all my mistakes. No, he washed me clean of everything and didn't leave a trace. I don't deserve his love, but he loved me anyway.
Ooh, I see the beauty in smaller things, 'cause I've seen holy and all that it brings. I can hear angels even in the wind. It's found all around us, 'cause he's in everything. Deserve his love, but he loves me anyway. So I'm thankful, yeah, I'm thankful. I thank you for all that you've done. Oh, I'm thankful, yeah, I'm thankful. I thank you for all that you've done. Oh, Jesus, I'm thankful. Oh, I'm thankful.
Yeah, I'm thankful.
Yes, I'm thankful.
Thank you for all that you've done. No, no, I'm thankful. Yeah, I'm thankful. I thank you for all that you've done. You believe me, I'm thankful. Yeah, I'm thankful. I thank you for all that you've done. Oh, I'm thankful. I'm thankful. Oh, I thank you for all that you've done. Amazing grace. I don't deserve his love, but he loves me anyway.
And that was Ransom by Rachel DeLong here on Hank's Corner. And like I said earlier, definitely appreciate you telling your testimony. It's great when artists are willing to be vulnerable, whether it's in their music or especially here on Hank's Corner. We definitely appreciate that. It just brings us so much closer to you as a person. I mean, obviously we can be a fan, but at the same time, even if it's virtually, it almost feels like the audience can be friends with you. So now we're going to have to try to figure out, or at least I'm going to have to try to figure out. I know people play at home as well. Two truths and a lie. And you gave us three statements earlier. You said that you are a total nerd about Marvel Comics. You got currently 110 in your neuroscience class, and that your favorite place to tour is California. And I kind of give you a little bit of my thought process earlier on why I kind of think, one of them, or which two might be true, but I got reasons for all three of them possibly being true. But here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say because, like I said, I think you're a very smart person. You alluded to the
Mhm.
fact that you come from a smart family. I'm going to say that you do currently somehow have gone over the 100% and got 110 in your neuroscience class, that you are a total nerd about Marvel Comics. And as great as California is, I'm going to say it's not your favorite place. How did I do?
You got it perfect.
Oh, all right. So I've actually got a couple right lately. I was struggling there for a while, but I finally, kind of gotten on a roll. But tell us about then. What is your favorite place?
So California is a dream place for me to tour. I haven't had the pleasure yet. But
Mm,
I do love to tour New England. I am a New England girl at heart. So that's probably my favorite place, like kind of like the New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Vermont kind of area. But also if I tour in Maine, the seafood is incredible.
yes, you can't beat Maine seafood up there, and I've actually never been up there. I've had to have it imported, but it's
Mm,
definitely some good stuff. And I would love to get up there one day, preferably during the summer, just so I can have it a little bit warmer while we're up there. But so that means you're a nerd about the Marvel comics. And what's the last Marvel movie that you saw?
Ooh, the last Marvel movie? I just rewatched the original Captain America,
Mm,
which
okay.
which I think is great. I know it sounds like a safe answer. I promise. I'm so nerdy about the comics. My two older brothers got me into them growing up.
Now, did you watch that because of the most recent Captain America that just came out in the movie theater? Did you do that to kind of give you a head start to go back and do that?
Actually, yeah, I haven't seen the new Captain America, so I was kind
Oh,
of like prepping for it.
okay. Well,
I'm
I
thinking
won't give it.
about okay, okay.
No, I was just gonna say I won't give anything away for you. I'll let you go in there. I don't want to do any spoilers for you.
And you said that your family likes Marvel over DC?
Yeah, so I don't really necessarily have a preference, but I've kind of gained that Marvel because my son uh tends to watch a lot more Marvel, and I've kind of just gone along with that. But yeah, DC is kind of a little dark sometimes, and sometimes I
Yeah.
just don't go for that darkness, but definitely do
Yeah.
like Marvel.
Even visually, Marvel uses a brighter like palette, which is sometimes even easier to see because sometimes like watching the Batman movies and you're like, where is he?
Yep, yep. I agree with that too. So we're gonna do a couple of rapid fire questions here. Some things
Ooh,
that I like to know, and we'll see. Not so much how well you do, but what your interests are. So I
okay.
always have to talk about on my podcast. Everybody knows this is food, and being that you've talked about the New England food, so that may be the answer. But well, what is your favorite comfort food?
Ooh, chicken korma. I love Indian food, and
Mm.
chicken korma is like my favorite. I would always get it on my birthday with my family, and so like whenever I get it now, it just feels like that comforting like birthday feeling.
I know. I do that with German chocolate cake. I mean, that's my birthday comfort. And being here in Florida, I don't really get to find it that often. So it's always good when I travel on my birthday, so that I can get that. Given the opportunity to be on stage and maybe do a duet with somebody, who would that be?
Okay. I know these are rapid fire, but I would be so honored to be able to have the opportunity to sing with Lauren Daigle. I think that would be amazing because I literally like remember busking on the streets singing her songs and just like having her like her music kind of like helped pull me into the Christian genre.
Yeah, definitely. And she's just one of those ones that has that ability to cross send, I guess is the right word, the different genres. I mean, you sometimes you can't even tell that it's a Christian artist that's singing up there, just the way she carries herself. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it in a good
Oh
way. Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
it seems that everybody can find a way to like Lauren Daigle. So I definitely
Mhm.
agree with that one. And that's a pretty good choice. Do you have any pet peeves?
Um, I'm thinking. Um, this sounds weird, but the sound of chewing really bothers me, and I don't know why. It's been ever since I was a little girl.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Sometimes that can be annoying, and don't do that around my son either because he definitely Dad, you're being too loud. I'm like, I'm not even chewing. He's like, yes, you are. So that's how
Or
good he
like
is.
gossiping. I know that sounds like a general pet peeve, but like I since like I said, I grew up in a high school where there was only one other Christian. So like there was so much gossip and I know how hurtful it can be. So now whenever people are like talking like that, I'm kind of like and I need to learn how to have grace with them, but like my instinct is to be peeved.
Yeah, yeah, I hear that. Who is currently on your playlist if we were to take a look at it?
I actually make my playlist public. One of them is on my Spotify. It's literally just I listen to that playlist like every day. Okay, Jervis Campbell, amazing. He's an indie artist. He does kind of like folky type music. He's Christian, but his music is just so good. I love studying to it. It's such a vibe. I could listen. I've been to his concert so many times.
Well, that
He's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you can take a look at Rachel's Spotify playlist, and I guess you could easily find it just by going to her on Spotify there and pulling that up and see what songs she listens to. So, like I said, this technology thing helps you get to know the artist a lot better. And then specifically related to you, I haven't gotten the opportunity to see you yet. Hopefully, one day I will soon. And like I told you offline, I'll add you to the wall over here. But should somebody come to a Rachel DeLong performance, what should they expect?
They should expect to hear a lot of emotion and not just in like a soft ballad way, in like a let's all get up and riled up and like excited about our identities. Basically, I love creating a big party for Christ. Like whenever I'm alive, I love teaching the crowd like the songs, especially if they're new. I love like engaging with them. Sometimes I throw out t-shirts and like bracelets and stuff like that. And I'm very energetic on stage, like we said, the ADHD. And so like there's a lot of jumping up and down and just like kind of that's like my favorite part is getting to like go into the crowd and just be with everybody singing songs together, songs about like God. I find it so fun. And I always end my sets with like a little bit of worship to like kind of remind myself and also make it clear to everybody like what my intention is being on stage.
I love that. So if you want to party for Christ, you need to come to a Rachel DeLong show, and be sure first to follow her on social media and her website. I got the information listed below, and that way you can kind of see maybe where she is playing. But it's been so great, Rachel, talking with you. Like I said, hopefully I'll get out there and see you performing in
I would
person.
love that.
And in the meantime, I'll continue watching the videos on social media that everybody needs to check out. But until that time, too, if you ever want to be a guest on Hank's Corner, you're more than welcome to.
Well, thank you. I do have a lot of shows coming up. I'm going on tour. Um, and I also am about to announce that I'm going on tour with Seth Schleter and Jimmy McDonald, as well as just like touring around New England. I have a couple shows in Nashville, so I don't have any in Florida this time, but
We'll
if
make
you're
it
able to
happen
make
at
any
some
of
point.
those.
That sounds great. And of course, we know that we'll be looking forward to your new LP that's going to be coming out. And of course, we're going to be featuring that here on Hank's Corner on the Hank Jr. production page, Facebook, New Music Fridays. But Rachel, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
I wish my feelings would come to life, that they were physical, something that I could fight. I wish these hands, they could lift that weight, but I know my battle's won when I lift them to sing your praise. This is my offering, oh Lord, I offer me. It's all I've got to bring. I give up control, let you do the fighting. This is my offering, oh Lord, I offer me. It's all I've got to bring. I give up control, let you do the fighting. If I prayed for peace, then why do I feel war? It's just another chance for me to learn to rely on you more. My God, a victory is standing right beside me. So why should I fear? Oh, why should I fear? This is my offering, oh Lord, I offer me. It's all I've got to bring. I give up control, let you do the fighting. This is my offering, oh Lord, I offer me. It's all I've got to bring. I give up control, let you do the fighting. It's all I've got to bring. In my freedom, in my cages, I will learn to sing your praises. Every victory, every failure, leave it all here at the altar. In my freedom, in my cages, I will learn to sing your praises. Every victory, every failure, leave it all here at the altar. This is my offering. This is my offering. It's all I've got to bring. I give up control.